Okay, so we just recently found out that the STR PIKKON as well as the Super Saiyan KAIOKEN GOKU are coming to the Japanese version of the game, which means that they are no longer global exclusive. This was a big surprise to many people because after around a year, you would kind of expect Bandai to, just be like, okay, screw it. It doesn't even matter anymore, especially because as the game goes on, there are going to be releasing better units, especially for certain types and, of course, categories. And when they released the Revived Warrior category on the global version of the game, these guys weren't a part of it. They could make a drastic change and make that the case on JP, but I highly doubt it because that isn't the case, the case on global. But one thing that they could do to these units is buff them, but they have never buffed units on the Japanese version of the game. The absolute only time they buffed a unit, well, there was two situations. So we had Goku Black on the global side of things, and then we had the Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, the physical one, but that was prior to his actual release. I suppose, yeah, it was the same for Goku Black as well. But basically, Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, they showed him off. People obviously felt a certain way about that. They changed it. They gave him a massive buff. And then yeah, that was pretty much it for the Gotenks. And they did the same for Goku Black, but it's only on global. So it's a bit of an interesting one. So they didn't translate the Goku Black buff over to the Japanese version of the game, but because, of course, the Gotenks, he was released in JP with the buff, so it's like, yeah, okay, global is gonna get that version of the card, right? So the question now is, are they going to buff Super Saiyan KAIOKEN GOKU and the PIKKON? Personally, I do believe that at the the PIKKON isn't good. He's not bad, but you just simply aren't going to run him on any team for the most part, despite him having a farmable super attack. But I will get into his card in a bit. The unit that stands out the most out of all of the units in that particular set is the Super Saiyan KAIOKEN GOKU. He is a very good unit, but just in comparison to some of the other units that are part of this particular type, it's going to be very hard to implement him. You have LR Gogeta, of course you have the new Future Gohan, Vegito, Gotenks, you have the Vegito Blue, and of course you have all of these other units. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have all of them, right? So the KAIOKEN GOKU could have a spot there, but there are a few things that kind of drag the car, bring the car down slightly. And I think the biggest thing that ultimately brings him down is his attack stat. For a Fierce Battle unit, his attack stat is kind of low, just over 8,000. If you compare him to some of the other Fierce Battle units, for example, UI Goku, 11,000 attack, just crazy high stats with his awakening. Obviously, not every single Fierce Battle awakening is going to be like this, but even KAIOKEN GOKU, over 9,000. And I know it doesn't seem like that much of a difference, but when it comes to the overall damage output, it definitely does make a big difference. Now, he does have the Otherworld Warrior link, and they never really turn this into a category, so it's like, he does get a monstrous 20% attack increase, but you're most likely not going to be running two units with that particular link together. Because if we have a look at the units with this particular link, you have these guys, and it's like, well, they aren't in the same category. I'm pretty certain that all of these don't have a category. I mean, this Goku will. He should technically be a part of the Pure Saiyan category. Oh, wait a minute. To be fair, this Goku should be part of the hybrid set or the Pure Saiyan category. So that technically is his best possible setup. But again, it's not. He still kind of has a few issues, like I said before. His 12 key multiplier, it's whatever really. Kind of wish it was a bit higher, maybe 145%. 150 would have been dope. He has immense, 100%, Super Saiyan, Fierce Battle, looking great, right? But he barely breaks a million at 100% on just a regular lead. I will say that the Vegeta lead is going to help him massively. But again, it doesn't warrant running him. There needs to be some sort of buff that guarantees or warrants us running him. Personally, I think that they should maybe give him 120. Like, they could do one of, let's see, one of three things, okay? Give him a 120% attack increase. Change his 12Q multiplier to 145 or 150. Or they can just raise his stats. I feel like raising his stats is one of the better ways to go about it. Because stats increases make a bigger difference. You don't, necessarily need to change the big portions of the card, I suppose. Because when you are taking a look at the card, the thing that you look at the most is the passive and the rest of it. You rarely look at his stats. So I feel like if you change the stats slightly, it's not something that people are going to catch on to necessarily. Yeah, Kaioken Goku is still a very solid unit. But I feel like because of the way that the game has progressed, he needs a bit of a push, but not as much as Pikkon, because the Pikkon, despite being I mean, you could debate whether or not he was optimal at the time, but it's whatever, right? Supreme damage, lowers attack, which it's whatever really. 70% attack increase. The only non-Saiyan unit with their prepared for battle link, experienced fighters, shocking speed, cold judgment, otherworld warriors, fierce battle. He has a pretty damn solid, solid link set. His stats otherwise are not that great. He has high health and high defense, but because of the way that the game is right now, you want that attack stat to be as high as possible. 12 key, 140%, farmable super attack, greatly lowers attack by 30%. Like I said before, that isn't necessarily going to be all that useful against, just regular events. Could be decent against, Super Battle Road and such. But for the most part, it's just not going to be something that you look forward to in a unit. Now, things that they could change, very similar to the Kaioken Goku. I feel like they could definitely give him a 100% passive. That'll make a big difference when it comes to his damage output. Increasing his attack stat as well. Honestly, there are so many things that they could do. Just keep the 12Q multiplier the same. Give him a bigger percentage increase for the passive. Supreme damage is, fair enough, whatever. They could have given him immense, but they didn't. They are most likely going to change that. Just give him... He is definitely someone that needs it a lot more, because right now he is probably one of the more underwhelming cards in the game, which is a bit of a shame. Upon his release, he was, actually kind of decent. I feel like a lot of people, including myself, pardon me, hyped him up a lot because he had prepared for battle, right? Look at the farmable super attack. Supreme damage, 70% attack. But when it came to actually using him, he was a bit of a yikes. And I'm not going to lie, the art for all of these cards is pretty fire. And let's not forget, we are also going to be guessing other units. Of course, like I mentioned before, we are guessing as Goku, who, again, was another pretty underwhelming unit. Extreme damage is what lets him down, to be honest. Like, see, he could have been so much better. He was part of this, pure Saiyan team. Raises his attack for 3 turns. 80% attack increase. Well, it's a high chance. So it's like a 50% chance for it to, happen or not. But once his super attack level is maxed, he can, super attack early. But his stats are just low. He's missing out on fierce battle. He does have otherworld warriors, so that kind of makes up for it. But his low stats, extreme damage, their RNG passive, it could have been, much better. But when it comes to these guys, you have Cell, who is a nuke of 15%, which is the exact same as the Extreme Z Awakening for the Perfect Cell. But his 12 key is extremely low. His best link is Big Bad Bosses. He does have shocking speed, which is dope. And then, of course, we have the Frieza, which is one of the better units from this particular batch. So we have 90% attack, no big bad bosses for whatever reason. A better 12Q multiplier than a Cell, but just barely, not going to make, too much of a difference. Rare chance to stun. Farmable super attack. So, an interesting set of units that did have a lot of potential. they haven't received awakenings on global or, you know, any version of the game for that matter, so we aren't actually going to be able to see whether or not they improve in the future. Of course, Pikkon and the Goku are the only units to receive an awakening. This banner is most likely going to be a guaranteed SSR, and people are thinking that maybe there is going to be a new legendary rare, which would be incredible to see. But again, we will have to see how that plays out. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think about these current units? Do you think they should stay the same? Do you think they should get some sort of a buff? Because I feel like the Pikkon was never going to be used anyway. When it comes to the KAIOKEN GOKU, he already has extremely good foundations. One of the best link sets in the game. Great passive. Great super attack. You know, just modifier. But he's kind of let down by small factors like his stats. You know, 12k multiplier. But overall, incredible card. Of course, hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And peace.